Daniel Lacalle is with us, chief economist of Tressis Gestion. Let's pick up the topic and run with it here. Quite often before a major recession, you see the oil price double. We have seen the oil price double, and this phenomena has rung true since the 70s. And here we are now with some softening growth trends and some questions being raised about whether oil continues to weaken from here or gets stronger. Just bring those two stories together for us, Daniel. Are we in the foothills of an economic slowdown, and what role has oil played? And is it still playing that role if the Saudis manage to get the price back up?
Yes, I think that the reality of the global slowdown is what's missing in the picture. I think that if you look at the leading indicators, you're seeing that expectations of demand growth, more importantly, all expectations of industrial production are also softening. Nothing dramatic, but they're softening quite a bit more than what analysts were expecting, weren't they? At the same time, what you've had is exactly the same thing to a certain extent, similar to what happened in 2008. You have, on one side, a rally in the oil price that actually accelerates the slowdown in the Western world, in the consumer nations. So what ends up happening is that the the policy of OPEC of trying to lift prices back up closer to $90 a barrel has actually accelerated the slowdown for the consumer nations. And what we're seeing right now is a double-edged sword for them. On one side, you have the evidence of oversupply. The Russian minister mentioned it yesterday. At the same time, what you have is that if they decide to cut, they would not offset that oversupply. The Russian minister was talking about 1.1 million barrels a day. So it's a difficult one. Yes,
the change of direction, though, is quite different, where it's been a real stop-start. We're going to tighten, we're going to loosen. That's quite different in this time round. I'd also make the point that what's also changed over the course of 10-odd years since the last financial crisis is the sharing of information. You now have an ability to hear so many different voices across economies, not just in your sector. So for the Saudis sitting there trying to make a decision, they're not just hearing what reactions are in the oil industry. They're hearing in all different emerging markets right across the world, all different consumer markets across the world, all different businesses across the world. How does it alter the course this time round? Because based on the amount of information they're getting, it would seem hard that they would tighten, that they would drive up prices going into another crisis.
Yeah, I think that producers particularly, and in general, all these international bodies, they suffer from confirmation bias. So they believe that they get lots of information from lots of different people, but what actually they do is actually get information from very few people that actually say the same thing.
Is what you're saying.
They actually say the same thing. They were saying that the market was going to tighten. The market was tightening. The market was tightening for months on end, and they were very happy with that. On top of that, they wanted to lift prices above the level that was, I would say, sustainable for the global economy. They actually did. They actually did for a while, and then it fires back. So the problem, I think, is confirmation bias. The problem is that what they're saying right now in the conference again comes back to the same rhetoric. Is they were saying that the market is going to tighten. Now that they're saying that it's amply supplied, but it will tighten. So it's a very, in reality, the oil industry knows that neither producers nor the industry are very good at predicting oil prices.
Well, let me ask you a very straightforward question. The Saudis have managed to prevent or stop the continued decline after 10 consecutive down sessions here. The market is going up. People will be tempted to buy into that on the back of the management of supply. Do you think there is the possibility here for a sustained bull run for the oil price?
I don't think so. I don't think so. And the reason why I don't think so is because the forces behind the slowdown in demand are stronger than what we are already discounting in the price, which is that OPEC will do whatever they can do in order to reduce the oversupply. But there's so much they can do, and we were just seeing it. Russia is at 11.4 million barrels a day. They haven't even cut. They have. There's been a lot about, what we are going to do, but they don't do it. And we forget the big problem as well for them, not for the consumers, which is the US. The US is the biggest oil producer in the world, 11.6 million barrels a day. They were saying that the US would not produce more than 10 million barrels a day. They're at 11.6, they're going to 12. Big headache for price inflation.
We're going to take the break. We'll be back in a moment. Daniel, thank you very much indeed for that.